Hello everyone and welcome back to another build showcase. Today we're actually going to be remaking version 1 of the Godslayer PVE. I'm remaking it due to all the Gale changes, as a World Without Song has been moved to 75 Gale, which actually changes a fair amount about how this build should play. Not to mention, we can remake it better than the original while still keeping the same premise around. For those of you who don't know, there is currently a version 2 of this build that is public, so you might be wondering why would you still want to use version 1? Well, version 1 is significantly easier to play and can still accomplish most of the same things as version 2, such as 2 cycling chaser. You just can't insta-grip him with flame in this version, but that doesn't really matter as version 1 of this build is extremely powerful. Now for the race, it doesn't matter for this build, although I'm going Vesperian purely because of the damage reduction. Oath is going to be Oathless, your origin is simply going to be Deepbound, and your bell isn't very strict. If you've watched my PVE bells video, you can choose a bell from there. So for now, I'm just going to go with Crazy Slots, since that is the highest damaging bell in the game. Alright, for the starting stats, we're simply just going to put 3 into Strength, 3 into Fortitude, 3 into Agility, and 3 into Willpower. These will be the core stats post-Shrine. Now you're going to want to get 6 Iron Sing and 6 Gale Breath with your starting element. Now, you immediately want to go to 50 Iron Sing. You can get this much by spamming the element training items a ton. Then you want to go to 40 Gale, 60 Iron Sing, 75 Gale, and now is the hard part, as you need to go to the surface and unlock Frost Draw and also get Shadow Cast. Then you'll put 1 point into your heavy weapon and you can Shrine of Order. Very important, you need to uncap your Gale before you Shrine of Order, otherwise you'll be losing out on 10 HP. Forgot to mention this earlier, but for your boons, you want to go with Scrapper and Pack Mule, simply for the extra carry load. Although you can also go Survivalist for this build if you don't want to have to deal with Parasites. Your floor is obviously going to be simple, and off Shrine of Order, you want to get Glutton. Now let's Shrine of Order, and these should be the stats you end up with. You want to go in this order. You want to go 20 Strength, leave your Fortitude as is, as we only really did this to equip an Iron Singer Heavy Plate, 5 into Intelligence, then you want to go 50 Willpower. Now for the rest of your stats, you want to go with 20 Shadow, 80 Frost Draw, and then you want to dump the rest in the Heavy, and this should be the final stats that you end up with. If you get any extra attribute points for some reason, just put them into your heavy weapon. Now let's go over the talents. You're going to get a World Without Song, and I really wouldn't get Haunted Gale Path here, as I don't really see it as necessary. You want to grab your Carnivore, Spine Cutter of course, Fishman, Frozen Legs, Neuroplasticity, Saint J and Frostbite, Rush Claws for some free pen, Blood Iron Spirit, Speed Demon, Scuba Drowner, and Elemental Rebound. Then we're going to grab Kickoff for some extra climb height, Grand Feast, Giant Slayer, Underdog, Chilling Flourish, Cool Head. You can optionally grab Last Resort, although it doesn't really do too much for this build. But what does do a lot is Charge Return and Nullifying Clarity. You'll basically be proccing Nullifying Clarity with every M1 if you're inhaling, and Charge Return will give you an extra 20% damage on your M1s while using Shade Devour. Then we're simply going to grab these 2 talents. They don't count towards your talent total, so it's actually a little lower than this. Plus there are free 20 HP combined. Now grab your Orbital Ice and Glacial Coating for some damage resistance and elemental intensity. Inhale and Breathing Impact, Aftercut, Wind Step down here. This was recently merged into Gale Leap, so it saves us on talents. Old Habits Die Hard, Breathing Exercises, and you want to grab the classic Ether Kit and Health Pack, Armor Conserver, Auto Scream, which is a big one. Now this does require you to be good at Spine Cuttering, as you'll Auto Scream early, Spine Cutter Chaser, and then you should have enough Ether to cast your mantras. But this is a free 25% damage, so it's pretty insane. On the previous version of this build, we actually went extra Charisma instead of Willpower, but I believe Willpower is worth it if you're really good at Spine Cuttering. And Maestro's Blade for some extra damage. Matador, this is incredible against Chaser as he always has hyper armor. Then we're going to grab your Haunted Gale for some extra elemental intensity. Expose Durability for 10% more damage. Metal Eater, this will allow you to cast Metal Armament for free if you don't have any ether. And you want to grab Artisan's Blade and Scrap Singer. You don't have to get these 2 cards, but it's a little bit more damage. Now, while the total talents for this build is 45, you can grab some extra stuff mainly for elemental intensity, and the total is a little lower because we have stuff like Gale Breather, which you just get naturally, as well as the Unbound talents. Now before I forget, for your traits, you simply just want to go 6 Song Chant and 6 Proficiency. Although if you do find yourself taking a lot of damage, you can reduce this a little bit to go more Vitality. But I personally don't need it. Now for your mantras, you want to grab Warden's Blades and Frozen Servants, as these do insane damage, as well as Ice Cubes. Next, you're going to grab your Gale Trap for some extra damage and Gale Lunge for mobility. Grab your Metal Armament for an extra M1, as well as Ice Skates and Glacial Arc for insane movement. Then you're going to additionally grab Shade Devour to fill out all your mantras, as Shade Devour sacrifices some health for an extra 20% damage boost. Now you can go Wind Passage if you want, although I prefer Gale Trap over it to do more damage. Now the next extra mantra you want to get is Dread Breath. It's a monster mantra, so you can get it for free. You mainly want to get Dread Breath if you plan to do stuff like Ferryman, as this can easily deal with clones and build chain stacks, but it's not super necessary if you can't afford it. Now coming over to the weapons section, your weapon is obviously going to be a 3-star damage Evan Spear with Detonation. I personally believe Detonation is the best enchant in the game, aside from Astral obviously, and I'm able to consistently 2-cycle Chaser on the original version of this build with Detonation, and this version is definitely stronger than it. Of course, if you're going crazy slots, you can go a Divine Axe to get the additional boost from Speed Demon. And as you can see, we are currently getting 173% damage to targets. If you equip an Ishins, this goes a little higher. The rest you want to go with a ring that scales with strength, willpower, and agility, and this will leave you with your final damage, which is 1300. That's pretty insane for a PvE build. Now coming to the final summary, you'll be ending with plus 74 health from your talents. Although this can go up to 104 with extra vitality, you're also getting 48 elemental intensity, as well as an extra 16 passive agility, which is very good for getting around layer 2. And yeah, this was the Godslayer PvE build version 2. This version is incredibly powerful, but most importantly, it's incredibly easy to use if you want to get insanely fast layer 2 runs, or just shred bosses in general. As for if it's better than version 1, well, that's up for you to decide. This version is definitely more consistent, as well as more tanky thanks to the Unbound Gale Breath. Anyways, I hope you guys have enjoyed. Make sure to like, subscribe, and check out my other PvE content, because there's plenty of videos on the channel that showcase my builds. Anyways, I'll see you next time.